In 1971, the USDA spent $1.2 billion feeding 25 million American children every school day. What landed on those plastic trays became the flavor of an entire generation. Some of it was genuinely good. Some of it haunts people to this day. Number 17 on this list caused actual lunchroom revolts in 3 states. And number 5 was so universally despised that cafeteria workers gave it a nickname that cannot be repeated on camera. But here is what nobody expected. Food scientists now say at least a third of these items were nutritionally smarter than anything on a modern school menu. Before we start, hit that subscribe button because this list is about to unlock memories you forgot you had. Let us count down the 30 school lunch items from the 1970s that every kid either loved or dreaded. Number 30, buttered corn. Every cafeteria had that industrial steam table, and sitting in the corner was a metal pan of bright yellow corn kernels swimming in melted margarine. The lunch lady scooped it onto your tray with a slotted spoon, and it landed with a wet plop next to whatever mystery entree was on the menu. The corn came from enormous number 10 cans, already cooked, already a shade of yellow that did not exist in nature. But when it was hot, buttered corn was the one vegetable kids actually ate without being told. A serving cost the district about 3 cents. In a lunchroom full of strange smells and suspicious textures, buttered corn was the thing you could trust. Number 29, fruit cocktail and heavy syrup. That small white bowl of canned fruit cocktail appeared on trays so often it felt like federal law. And technically, it almost was. USDA commodity programs shipped millions of cans to school districts nationwide, making fruit cocktail one of the cheapest desserts a cafeteria could serve. Kids poked through the syrupy mess, hunting for the one maraschino cherry, half buried at the bottom, the pale grapes nobody wanted, the pear cubes that tasted like sweet nothing, and those tiny squares of peach that dissolved on your tongue before you could chew. A single number 10 can cost about 40 cents and serve 25 kids. The heavy syrup had more sugar than a candy bar, but in the 1970s, nobody counted sugar grams. They counted vitamins. And since the can said fruit, it counted as a serving. Children who grew up eating this still cannot look at a fruit salad without instinctively searching for that cherry. Number 28, peanut butter sandwich on white bread. When the budget hit the wall in late March, out came the peanut butter sandwiches. 2 slices of spongy white bread, a thick smear of government-issue peanut butter so dense it could patch drywall, and nothing else. No jelly, no honey. The USDA distributed surplus peanut butter in 5-pound tins, and that institutional paste bore no resemblance to the Skippy in your kitchen at home. Darker, grainier, drier, but it was pure protein. Kids traded them, threw them, used them as hockey pucks in the hallway. But when you were hungry, that sandwich did its job. Number 27, applesauce. Cafeteria applesauce arrived perfectly smooth, faintly pink, and cold enough to suggest it had been portioned out before dawn. It appeared alongside pork chops, alongside fish sticks, and alongside things that had no business being near applesauce. Kids ate it because it was sweet and required no chewing. Some mixed it into their mashed potatoes, a combination that horrified teachers and delighted third graders. Unlike most items on the tray, applesauce never arrived burnt, undercooked, or unrecognizable. It was the one thing on the lunch tray that never lied to you. Number 26, hamburger on a cold bun. The school hamburger was a flat gray disc of ground beef, cooked on a sheet pan, placed on a bun that had been sitting in a plastic bag since 6 in the morning. Thin enough you could read a newspaper through it, salted within an inch of its life, served with a single pickle chip and a packet of ketchup. The bun was the real problem, cold and slightly stale, with a texture somewhere between foam and cardboard. Kids learned to squeeze the whole thing together tight, hoping ketchup would glue the operation into something edible. That sad little hamburger was still the most popular item every single time it appeared. Number 25, green beans. Canned green beans sat on the steam table like a punishment. Olive drab in color, mushy in texture, and seasoned with nothing but the faint metallic taste of the can they came from. Lunch ladies scooped them onto trays with mechanical precision, ignoring the groans of every child in line. The USDA shipped green beans to schools by the truckload. They were cheap, shelf-stable, and met the vegetable requirement without any effort from the kitchen. Most kids pushed them to the edge of the tray and left them there, a soggy green graveyard next to the empty milk carton. But in families where wasting food was a sin, children learned to hold their breath and swallow fast. Those canned green beans taught an entire generation that vegetables were something to be endured, not enjoyed. It took decades and a farm-to-table movement to undo the damage. Number 24, chocolate pudding. When that small cup of chocolate pudding appeared, the entire mood of the cafeteria shifted. Chocolate pudding was currency. It could be traded for a cookie, a bag of chips, or a seat at the good table. It was made from instant mix, portioned into plastic cups, with a skin on top that some kids peeled off and others stirred back in. The debate over the skin was as heated as any argument of the decade. A batch cost pennies per serving, and it proved that even in the most institutional setting, something sweet could make everything bearable. Number 23, fish sticks. Every Friday, the cafeteria smelled like the ocean had a fever. Fish sticks arrived golden and rectangular, lined up on sheet pans like little breaded soldiers. Inside was a compressed white substance that flaked apart in strange geometric patterns, bearing only a passing resemblance to anything that once swam. Mrs. Paul's and Gorton's supplied schools by the case, 5 sticks per tray, with a dollop of tartar sauce and a lemon wedge if the cafeteria was feeling fancy. Catholic school kids ate them without question. Public school kids complained, but ate them anyway because the alternative was the peanut butter sandwich. Most children ate the breading off first, leaving behind pale, naked fish sticks that looked even more suspicious without their armor. A case cost about $8 and served 50 kids. Efficient, cheap, and universally tolerated if never truly loved. Number 22, tater tots. When tater tots hit the tray, everything else became background noise. Those little cylinders of shredded potato, fried until the outside shattered and the inside turned to creamy mush, were the undisputed king of the side dish. Or Ida had been selling them since 1956, and by the 1970s, schools bought them by the ton. A single tot cost less than a penny, but to a 7-year-old, it was worth more than gold. Kids hoarded them, stacked them, and ate them in specific orders, saving the crunchiest ones for last. The smell alone, that hot potato and oil fragrance drifting from the kitchen by 10:30 in the morning, could improve an entire school day. Tater tots asked nothing of you. No complicated flavors, no weird textures, just hot, salty, crunchy potato in a shape that fit perfectly between your fingers. Number 21, Sloppy Joes. The Sloppy Joe was a controlled disaster on a bun, and every kid knew it. Ground beef simmered in sweet, tangy tomato sauce, ladled onto a hamburger bun that immediately began dissolving from the inside out. By the third bite, the bottom bun was gone. Sauce dripped down wrists, stained shirts, and pooled on trays in orange-red puddles that lunch monitors pretended not to see. Manwich and Hunt sold institutional cans of Sloppy Joe sauce, but plenty of cafeterias made their own from ketchup, brown sugar, and whatever spices the budget allowed. A batch large enough for 200 kids cost under $20 in ingredients. The Sloppy Joe was democracy in action. Rich kids and poor kids ate the same messy sandwich, wore the same stains home, and told the same lie when their mothers asked what happened to their shirt. It was impossible to eat with dignity, and nobody cared. Number 20, cornbread. That square of golden cornbread sat on the tray like a little block of sunshine, dense enough to anchor a boat, and sweet enough to pass for dessert. Made from Jiffy Mix, baked in enormous sheet pans, cut into perfect squares by workers who had done it 10,000 times. Warm from the oven with cold butter melting into the top, it was legitimately good. Cold and dry from sitting out an hour, it became a crumbly chore. The difference between first lunch and last lunch was the difference between loving cornbread and dreading it. Salisbury steak was the cafeteria's attempt at fine dining, and it fooled absolutely nobody. An oval patty of ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs and onion powder, smothered in brown gravy that had the consistency of warm glue. The gravy was the key. Without it, Salisbury steak was just a hamburger patty having an identity crisis. With it, the whole thing became vaguely acceptable, especially paired with mashed potatoes that absorbed the gravy into a starchy, salty slurry kids actually enjoyed. Schools served Salisbury steak on a weekly rotation, and it appeared so often that children developed opinions about it the way adults develop opinions about politics. You were either pro-Salisbury or anti-Salisbury, and there was no middle ground. The recipe had not changed since the 1950s, and it would not change until the school lunch reforms of the 1990s. Number 18, Jell-O. Those little cups of wobbly gelatin appeared in red, green, orange, and occasionally a disturbing yellow that matched nothing in nature. Lime Jell-O with shredded carrots was a real thing that real cafeteria workers served to real children, and the psychological damage has never been fully measured. But plain cherry Jell-O, cold and jiggly, was genuinely popular. Kids slurped it, sucked it through their teeth, and made it vibrate on the tray with a carefully placed slap. A box of mix made enough for 30 kids for about 25 cents. Number 17, creamed chipped beef. Here is where the list takes a dark turn. Thin slices of dried salted beef were stirred into thick white gravy and ladled over toast. The military had a name for this dish that cannot be said on YouTube, and school children learned it fast. The taste was aggressively salty. The texture was between leather and wet paper, and the white gravy looked like something from a horror movie. In 1974, parents in at least 3 school districts formally complained about it. Cafeteria workers privately agreed it was terrible, but served it anyway because the dried beef came free through USDA programs. Cream chipped beef taught a generation that just because something is free does not mean it is good. Number 16, grilled cheese sandwich. 2 slices of white bread with a single slice of American cheese pressed on a griddle until the outside turned suspicious brown and the cheese stretched like an orange suspension bridge. Hot and fresh, it was perfect. After 20 minutes in a warming tray, the bread turned leathery and the cheese re-solidified into rubber. Paired with tomato soup in a styrofoam cup, hot enough to melt fingerprints, Grilled Cheese Day was still one of the best days on the calendar. Number 15, chicken fried steak. A lie wrapped in breading, no chicken involved. A thin beef cutlet, pounded flat, dipped in seasoned flour, fried, and served under white cream gravy. In southern and midwestern districts, this was a Thursday staple. The breading did all the heavy lifting, while the beef inside remained a thin, chewy mystery. It was still fried, still covered in gravy, and still better than the fish sticks. Number 14, instant mashed potatoes. That smooth, pale dome that jiggled when you set your tray down. Made from dehydrated potato flakes, reconstituted with water and margarine. The texture was closer to spackle than to anything a potato had ever been, but mashed potatoes were the universal canvas. Kids poured gravy into the crater, mixed in corn, buried peas inside, and shaped them into sculptures. A 10-pound bag cost about $2 and served hundreds. Instant mashed potatoes were the foundation that held the entire school lunch program together. Number 13, rectangle pizza, the holy grail. The single greatest day on the school lunch calendar, and every kid in America knew it. That rectangular slab of pizza, baked on a sheet pan with a thick bready crust, a layer of sweet tomato sauce, and a blanket of melted mozzarella that stretched in long strings when you pulled a piece apart. Elio's and other institutional brands supplied schools with frozen pizza by the pallet. The crust was denser than any pizzeria, would dare serve. The cheese was a processed blend that browned in patches. The sauce came from a can because it did. None of that mattered. On pizza day, the lunch line stretched down the hallway. Kids who brought lunch from home stared at their sad brown bags with regret. Pizza day was the one day the cafeteria won, completely and without argument. A slice cost the district about 12 cents. It bought more goodwill than any PTA meeting ever could. Number 12, corn dogs, the cafeteria's greatest magic trick. Take a hot dog of questionable origin, impale it on a stick, dip it in cornmeal batter, and deep fry it until golden. Suddenly, that same hot dog became the most exciting thing on the tray. The stick made it portable. The batter made it crunchy. The mustard made it perfect. The corn dog was joyful in a way most cafeteria food was not. It had personality. It had a stick. For a few minutes, it made the lunchroom feel like a county fair. Number 11, chili. Cafeteria chili arrived thick and brick red, with kidney beans floating like little submarines in seasoned ground beef. Served with cornbread or crackers, sometimes with shredded cheese, chili was the rare item that actually improved when the kitchen let it sit. The flavors deepened. The beans softened. Chili was honest food. It looked like what it was, tasted like what it was, and never pretended to be anything else. Number 10, turkey and gravy over rice. Thanksgiving. In the cafeteria arrived every 6 weeks, whether you wanted it or not. Sliced turkey from a compressed loaf, pale and rubbery, sat over white rice and was covered in brown gravy that had been warm since breakfast. The turkey bore no resemblance to anything carved at home, but the gravy saved it. Poured over rice, it became comfort food greater than the sum of its questionable parts. Number 9, hot dogs. The school hot dog was boiled in water for so long that the casing split and the ends curled upward, giving it the look of a tiny canoe. Placed on a steamed bun that was somehow both damp and stale at the same time, it was the simplest possible lunch the cafeteria could serve. Oscar Mayer and Armour supplied schools with hot dogs that cost less than a dime each, making them the most economical protein on the rotation. Ketchup and mustard came in tiny foil packets that required the grip strength of a mechanic to open. Relish was a luxury most districts could not justify. Kids ate hot dogs fast, in 3 or 4 bites, then spent the rest of lunch trading their sides or causing trouble. The hot dog asked nothing of you intellectually or emotionally. It was fuel, pure and simple, and it kept 50 million American schoolchildren moving through the afternoon. Number 8, Mexican pizza. In the late 1970s, some districts introduced Mexican pizza, and it became instant legend. A flour tortilla was spread with refried beans, topped with seasoned beef, cheese, and diced tomatoes, then baked until the edges crisped. It had no business being as good as it was. Mexican pizza appeared maybe once a month, and its arrival was announced by cumin drifting through the hallways. Proof the cafeteria could surprise you if it tried. Number 7, sheet cake with frosting. That rectangle of yellow or chocolate cake topped with frosting in a color not found in nature. The frosting was thick, sweet, and stained lips for hours. Kids who got corner pieces with extra frosting on 2 sides were the envy of the table. A single sheet cake cost about $4 and served 48 kids. It was celebration food in a place that rarely celebrated anything, and for that reason alone, it mattered more than it should have. Number 6, chicken nuggets. By the late 1970s, chicken nuggets were beginning their takeover of the American school lunch, and nothing would ever be the same. Tyson Foods had mechanized the process, turning chicken scraps into uniform, breaded, bite-sized pieces that could be frozen, shipped, and reheated with almost no effort. Schools that adopted nuggets early saw lunch participation spike overnight. Kids who refused Salisbury steak, gagged on fish sticks, and hid their cream-chipped beef in napkins would eat chicken nuggets without hesitation. Dipped in ketchup, honey, or barbecue sauce from those little plastic cups, nuggets were the perfect cafeteria food. No bones, no gristle, No surprises, just warm, crunchy, vaguely chicken-flavored comfort in a shape small enough to eat with your fingers. The nugget did not just change school lunch, it changed how an entire generation thought about food. Simple, safe, and stripped of anything that might challenge or offend. Number 5. Mystery meatloaf. The cafeteria meatloaf was the item nobody could identify, and everyone had an opinion about it. A dense gray-brown slab of ground beef stretched with breadcrumbs, powdered eggs, and seasoning packets, baked in sheet pans and sliced into portions that landed on trays with an audible thud. Ketchup was baked on top in a sticky glaze, and it was simultaneously the best and worst thing about it. The inside was a uniform texture that did not resemble any meatloaf made in a home kitchen. Cafeteria workers had their own private name for it, a name that spread through every school in America through the whisper network of older kids to younger kids. Meatloaf Day divided the lunchroom into survivors and resistors. You either drowned it in gravy and got through it, or you went hungry. There was no middle ground, no negotiation, no escape. It appeared on the tray like a verdict, and you accepted your fate. Number 4. Chocolate milk. That little half-pint carton of chocolate milk was the single most powerful motivator in the American school lunch program. Children who would not touch white milk, who left their plain carton unopened and sweating on the tray, would drain chocolate milk in seconds and look around for more. By 1976, chocolate milk accounted for nearly 70% of all school milk consumed in the United States. The dairy industry pushed it hard, knowing flavored milk kept the whole commodity system running. The chocolate was sweet, the milk was cold, and the experience of punching that little cardboard spout open with a pointed straw was one of the defining tactile memories of 1970s childhood. Some kids bit the corner of the carton instead, a technique that sprayed milk across the table about 40% of the time. Chocolate milk was not just a drink. It was a reward, a bribe, and the reason most kids went through the lunch line at all. Number 3. Beefaroni. When the cafeteria served Chef Boyardee beefaroni, the lunchroom smelled like a can of SpaghettiOs the size of a bathtub, soft elbow macaroni in a sweet, thin tomato sauce, with tiny crumbles of ground beef that were more suggestion than substance. Kids loved it because it tasted exactly like what they ate at home. The familiarity was the appeal. No surprises, no strange textures, just soft pasta in sweet sauce. A number 10 can cost about $1, and it served 12 kids. Comfort in its purest, most processed form. Number 2. The ice cream sandwich. On the rare days when ice cream sandwiches appeared in the cafeteria freezer, the lunch line became a stampede. 2 soft chocolate wafers pressing a slab of vanilla ice cream so cold it made your teeth ache. The wafers stuck to your fingers and left dark crumbs on your lips that you wore like a badge for the rest of the afternoon. Kids peeled the wafers apart and licked the ice cream first, or bit straight through, or let the whole thing soften until the wafers went limp and the ice cream dripped down their wrists. For 25 cents extra, you held summer in your hands in the middle of February. Nothing else on the tray mattered. The ice cream sandwich turned lunch into an event. And number 1, the ice cream cup with the wooden spoon, the single greatest object ever to appear on a school lunch tray. A little paper cup of ice cream, vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry, sealed with a pull-tab lid and eaten with a flat wooden spoon that tasted like a popsicle stick. Kids who had a dime and a nickel clutched their coins like treasure. The ice cream was always slightly too frozen, so hard the wooden spoon bent on the first scoop. You had to let it sit, softening around the edges until you could scrape thin curls off the top. That wooden spoon flavor mixed into every bite and became inseparable from the taste itself. Nobody wanted it to taste like wood, but it did. And now, 50 years later, people would pay anything to taste that exact combination one more time. The ice cream cup was not just a dessert. It was the taste of being a kid, sitting in a noisy cafeteria with nothing to worry about except whether your best friend would trade their chocolate for your strawberry. Tell me which one you remember most in the comments. These were not just school lunches. They were the meals that raised us.